Hey everybody, Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro. I hope everybody's having a lovely day. Um, almost about 98% done with the moving, but moving is not the funnest thing in the world, and you just realize how much trash you got. So over the years that we was at our old place, man, we build up some trash. And as I tell my wife, stop buying so much junk. Jesus Christ, but that's sometimes that's like talking to a wall. But anyway, there's another story for another time. But it's feeling a little bit good to kind of be back out on the golf course, here at the range. Like I said, I've basically taken this whole month off, just to take care of the moving, helping my family and all that. And hey, we did it on our own, and one of the reasons I wanted to move, do a lot of it on my own, simply because, hey, it helped me lose a little bit of this gut. And then sometimes it just feels good to do your own thing, and get out there and build some strength. And I like that natural, what you call that natural working out, in a sense, because you're moving little muscles when you're reaching over here and leaning and doing all of that. That's kind of like when we're on that golf course. You get yourself in certain positions, and I had muscles wake up in my body that I haven't felt in a long time, and it was good feeling. So, but and I'll tell you something else. I've been watching a lot of the show Full Swing, and really enjoy watching it. And today I'm going to talk about something that and I don't know if they do it anymore, but I know I've heard other people talk about it. And they're talking about the lead shoulder in transition. Now, I saw Chris Como when he was helping, or Tom Kim. And there's this one part in that, and I know this has been a few years ago, but I still know because I've seen others talking about this. And this is another one of those differences between when you're coming from the ground up in comparison to top down. Well, it's the lead shoulder. And one of the things Como was trying to talk about when it came to um, Tom Kim is he don't want to see this lead shoulder coming up in transition. Well, remember I said to you all before about if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, it's unacceptable. Well, by the time you make this scap drop, in essence, then with me, here's your transition. When you make this scap drop, as this start transitioning down, I want this shoulder to come up. I wanted to start coming up because what I wanted to do before I get to impact, I want to prepare for my body to go through the strike. I want to feel myself go through the strike, and I want to be early feeling like I'm going through the strike instead of being on time, which is actually late. So when I hit a few balls here, I'm just going to show you. Now, that's something, when I saw that, I found that to be very, very interesting, because I know if you're coming and you're turning, even those guys who's turning, you still see them up. I, I see a lot of people doing this, and that I don't understand that. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Um, but to each is his own. But far as for top down, one of the main things we want to do is feel like, as we come in transition, we want to feel this lead shoulder coming up. We want to feel it coming up. And that's because why? Because when both arms are up, in the backswing, both scapulas are up. So when I make my transition drop, scap down, that's both of them scapulas coming down. So in that transition, it's there. So the down part is there. So like I said, as I knock out of that transition, I want to feel this. I actually feel, and this is people, here's another good one. I actually feel this in my transition. And seeing what happens with a lot of people, they stay in this condition and they're like this. See, because they're trying to do it with their hips and all of that. See how that looks right here? See, I am trying to get this. I am definitely trying to get the lead side of my scapula. And if I went even more depth than that, I'm trying to get the lateral side of the scapula to come up, more so than just the shoulder. So if I feel that, hopefully I can hit a good. Now, people, I haven't hit any balls in a minute here. So please forgive me if they're a little bit raggedy, but I mean, it might be raggedy for one or two shots. It ain't going to be long because movements are movements and scap up and scap down. So when I feel that, I want to feel that come up because I want to get to the point of where by the time I get the impact, my process is getting finished to the swing. Because if I'm only thinking about here getting to the swing, then I'll never get through the strike. So I mean, I know some people don't really, see the golf swing maybe in the way that I do, that I am looking, it's almost like playing chess. I'm looking two moves ahead, just like playing pool. I'm looking not for the shot. I'm looking how to control the ball to get to the next shot. So what I'm doing in itself is that I'm creating actions that not get me to the ball, but actually get me through the ball, because the nature of the strike is to get it through the ball. And the thing is when you make these proper actions, to get this, because think about it, people, if we're moving, because each shoulder girdle was separate entities. So if we're moving independently, then it makes sense in a sense that, because the swing in itself is basically on an arc and it's rocking back and forth, then don't it only make sense that if one goes down, the other one goes up? I know people are so focused on this in essence, and, that can get you in a lot of trouble. So I like to feel the sensation, and I think it'll improve your swing so much of feeling the sensation, because down's going to take care of itself. Up, like we need some forces to get this club up. We got to get it up. That's the action, and that's something else I'm going to tell you all about here in just a minute. We've got to get that so we can be able to make the type of movements, good unit turn. Never forget that, good unit turn. Now, get that. And, and I think a lot of people hit the ball fat. And here's another thing. A lot of people, they think they hit the ball fat just because they do that. Well, that's true. I mean, a lot of them do hit it because they go there. But when your body is in balance, and as I told you all in that one video, I still haven't got my plants in for my shoe here. As I said, this one is just a little bit shorter than that one. And, so I'm getting my implant should be coming for my shoe. It's just a little lift on that side or whatever. I think it's about a 1/4 inch or something like that. But, so when your body is tilted like this and then you come up, yeah, you're going to have problems. But when you're in a good position here and that comes up, then all that does is adds, a good striking condition to get you with that angle of attack to go down through the ball. So if I sit there and I get a good swing, good backswing, good takeaway, that ball location, setup, grip, takeaway, swing, I get a good location there, then all I'm doing is really truly thinking about is getting this lead scapula, getting it back up on the lateral side of the scapula under here. I'm trying to get it back up. So if I get it up, boom, then the worst I'm going to do, like I did with that one, the worst I'm going to do is maybe hit it a little bit thin, because, that's what it's going to do. And you need to just more or less just kind of get your timing, work on that. And I'm telling you, you'll be surprised how straight you're going to be able, or consistent, that you're going to be able to hit the ball. Because why? Because you're always having this action of where we are to finish. Freddie Couples and many other ones used to spend a lot of time working on their finish. We've gotten so much into the golf swing that everybody's just working on, the hit. They're not working on the swing, you know, and that's what a lot of players are doing. They're just hitting the ball and they're just not making a swing anymore. That's where the ball gets in the way. Man, that's so straight. And with top down, what I'm trying to teach you is how to make a swing to where once again, to where the ball gets in the way. And that's why, you can, I talk about all these things of making these movements. I'm not just trying to teach you how to hit. I'm trying to teach you how to make a swinging motion to where you can get to and through the ball, in a continuous rhythm. Now, uh, something else, I've been talking to this gentleman on one of these forums I'm on, and we were talking about torques and forces and all these different things. Well, he made this comment that, which I don't agree with, that, first you got to understand the torques and forces, that they come before the movements. And I totally disagreed with that. And I said that it didn't make sense to me. And we were talking about something about, Justin Thomas and his swing and all that. And and I was saying no. I said I totally disagree with that. And I said because, and I used one, I said several things, but this is just one example that I used. I said that if I took a ball here and gave it to a kid and I picked it up and I told the kid to throw the ball, the first thing the kid would do was throw the ball. They would create the motion to be able to throw the ball. Well, that's no different than any good athlete or anyone, is that when you make the motion, then all of a sudden now your data, you can measure what that motion, what forces, what torques or whatever it create. Well, you can't have the torques and forces and all of that without being able to create the motion first. The motion always comes before that. Now, the natural forces that we have inside of our body, that's not the same as something we're creating when we're making an action, when we're actually making a repetitive motion to be able to quote unquote create a repetitive golf swing. So when you make the motion, and I say this to all of them in science, when you make the motion, then and only then are you able to collect the data to define what that motion is, or what that motion creates. Now, I also went as far as to say is that with all the force plates and all these different things here, is that those torques and forces is what actually creates rhythm. So what my torques and forces may be is going to be different than somebody else. Like for an example, Kenny Perry stayed back on his foot, but he became a very great player on the PGA Tour. I guarantee you his torques and forces wasn't as much over here as they were really over on this side. You could see that. Mo Norman stayed back here on this side. I mean, it's so many different things. And I think one of the biggest things with the understanding the data with the torques and forces and the force plates and all that, and yes, I've been on them at the PGA show, I've seen them, but I know that what it is that it creates it's torques and forces is what allows us to create rhythm. And as I've told you all many times before, that I can teach you the golf swing, the movements of the golf swing, but I cannot teach you my rhythm, because rhythm is individual to you. And much pressure that you put here or there or whatever, it's going to always vary from here to there to whatever. But for day to day and time to time, it's going to be different. But scap up and scap down, that's a movement. That movement doesn't change. So, so it's very, very, and that's one of the reasons that I don't get so deep into technology in that regard, in a sense, because as I said, I mean, I understand, first you make the movements. So then another part of that I try to make sure and clear and understand, as he expressed about athletes, he say, well, with these high level athletes, we're calculating to the millisecond and these different things, and there's blah blah blah, the torques and forces. And I said, yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But those athletes already have the motion. That's why they wouldn't be high level individuals if they didn't have the concept of the motion first, for you to be able to come and create and discover what the torques and forces is and what the actions are and how those are. So, so as I said, I have my thruthers when it comes to those things. A lot of the science people are, they're not teachers, and their job in essence is not to sit here and tell you what the golf swing is. Me as a teacher, if I come as top down, the science people is not to tell me what's right or wrong in the golf swing. Their job is simple. Their job is to tell me what, if I say it's top down, then their job is to come by and show me in essence of what's the thing that I need to do in a sense to create the top down, or what's happening when I'm creating the top down. Not to tell me that top down is this or it's not that or something. That's not the job of the science. And another part of that is this, the word lead and start. Now, I've been telling people about, the start of the golf swing is when the scap drops, and so, and others would tell me, no, the hips lead or whatever. Well, I explain it like this. And I said, I don't have a problem with the fact that the hips lead. I think they do lead. Tell the truth. I really do think they lead. Y'all see my unit turn. There's no problem with the hips leading. But there is a difference between leading and starting. And the best example I give is when you got a guy with a horse, with the straps, and he's there. Now the horse is going to lead the cart, but the guy back here who snaps the reins for the horse to move, that's the start of it. That's what gets it started. So when you drop scat down, that's what gets the swing started. There's a difference between start and lead. And once you get it started, then you're able to make many variations of what you're doing, trying to get it to lead. That's just so pure, you know. That's just so pure. So people, make sure you get a clarification of what is really being said, because sometimes, as I said, when it comes to the science, a lot of these science guys are really, they're not a lot of them are not teachers. They're just giving science, but they're not giving you the understanding of movements. Movements, because all the golf swing is just learning how to build a sequence. And you all know how I talked about it in my unit turn, how you wind up here, and then when you go down and strike, you unwind, and then all of a sudden the trail side winds back up. It's all of these things that are just natural if you just take the time to really, really think about it and think about what it is that you're truly trying to do. So with top down, I've talked about natural movements and how these movements can simply create a swinging motion. Once again, a swinging motion that allows you to collect the golf ball, not conditions and positions that only allow you basically to hit or hit at the ball. We want to be able to swing to and through. That's what I remember an old pro used to tell me all that. He's like to say, Charles, you got to learn how to swing to and through. And I always was talking about that through. So you got to get that. So people, I hope you enjoy that. Like I said, get yourself out there, start working on getting that lead shoulder, that lead side of that scapula. Start learning how to get it to come up. When you come through, get that thing to come up. Don't let it sit there. Get that thing to come up. That's another reason why I say, quit freezing this stuff. See, that's another reason when you lock these arms beside your body, see, you can't get that to come up. But you want to get that lead scapula, that lead lateral side of the scapula, You want to feel that come up. Then you'll start hitting some pretty decent shots. Yeah, I'm still a little raggedy, a little rusty, but I'll get that sequence 100%. You know, uh, today it's just like I say, it's just I needed to get back on the golf course and here and hit some balls. I wanted to enjoy myself today. Like I say, been busy. Like I said, been busy moving. But hey, it's fun to be back. Hey, this is Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro, here at the beautiful Grand Vista Marriott in Orlando, Florida, where I own and operate my teaching business under the Shade Tree. Hey, listen, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to look at my link tree there that I have, and don't forget to take the opportunity to join my membership. Something else I've been thinking about here, I don't really want to do nothing fancy with my videos. I want to keep my videos as just as old black and white newspaper as I possibly can. If that only gives me 3,000 and some subscribers, then it is what it is, because I got plans of what it is that I want to do anyway. But I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it as simple as top down. I'm not trying to throw the shiny nickel in your face. What I'm trying to do is teach you the best way to play golf in the simplest manner possible without having to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that's not getting you anything or getting you where you want to be. So come stay and hang out under the shade tree, and let's keep moving this thing forward. As I said, let's keep pouring water on the tree to keep it growing. Oh, also, I want to say again, thank you all for the donations. I appreciate that. I don't mind you keeping them coming. And like I said, it does keep the tree growing, but like I said, it's been a pleasure. And, and coming in May, I'm really going to start trying to, push it up a little bit and just, talk about some things that's just top down. And it's going to be a lot of me talking and regurgitating the same stuff over and over because, like I said, once you get Scap up and know how to bring it down, it's just a matter of what you're going to do to keep it going. And the only thing that's going to keep it going is how you perfect your unit turn. And we're going to get better and better in that. And you'll learn more about it in my membership. $9.99 a month, less than $120 a year. Go check that out. Like I said in the description box, it's going to be under my link tree. Hey, you know what? Like I said again, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Once again, Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro. Always good golfing.